Well, we've got about a week until we'll know if the Lions will be in the playoffs or not. It's going to come down to a couple different matrix and situations are going to have to unfold. None that aren't achievable, but the Lions are going to have to take care of their own business first and get a little bit of help. We're going to talk about all that, all the records being set by Detroit players, all the progress made throughout the season. We're going to talk about all these things and maybe just a little bit more in today's Monday's version of Lions Talk Live. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host, once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking a little bit of time out of your Monday to tune into Lions Talk Live. Obviously, I have to say this, the Lions have superseded my expectations for the season. If you've been a Lions Talk Live member throughout our existence here, we've been calling for a 6-win season throughout this year, and not only have we beaten it, but we're on the doorstep of the playoffs. Will we make it? We'll have to wait and see. Will our Sunday game get flexed to a night game or a primetime game? We do know at this point it is not going to be a Saturday game. The NFL has already flexed who they're going to put into that time slot. It wasn't Detroit versus Green Bay, but it is still a possibility for Sunday. So we're all going to have to wait probably today or tomorrow to find out if that does happen. But anyways, while we're talking about different stuff, before we get into the main topics, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. It takes you about a second and a half to hit the subscribe button, perhaps even the like button, and to leave a comment in the section below. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of Sunday's games. If you can help me do that, I sure would be thankful. Before we get into all the good stuff, I was asked on Lions Nation Unite yesterday if I could come up with one negative thing from the Lions yesterday. And really, at the top of my head, I couldn't really think of anything, but today I did come up with one. And I want to thank Detroit Free Press for helping point this out. I knew Jeff Okudah did get benched midway through the first quarter because of some missed assignments in run support. I did see him return, so I just thought maybe he, pulled something, equipment malfunction, whatever. It wasn't until I got to look at the snaps and the fact that he did get moved to gunner position on special teams, I realized for the second week in a row, the coaching staff had said Okudah needed to take a moment of pause on the sideline before reemerging into the game. Unfortunately, this continues a trend with Okudah over the last 5 weeks where his play has been less than stellar. So if there is one negative thing to what we've seen yesterday and for the most part, the last month of the season, it's the play of Jeffrey Okudah. It has taken a bit of a turn down. It's unfortunate. He was a possibility for comeback player of the year, but it does look like Jeff Okudah is losing some of the faith from the Lions coaching staff, and that may be reflective in moves this offseason. All right, now that we got the one negative thing I could really find from yesterday's game, let's talk about some of the positives. Let's talk about, probably the biggest one we can all talk about, James Houston. If you were watching yesterday's post-game video, I did point out last week against Carolina, I thought it was a very telling tale. The Lions coaching staff moved him up from just being a third down or obvious pass rushing situation specialist that he was starting to get some snaps on first and second down. We saw that trend continue yesterday where he was basically the starting outside and they kept moving him around on the field from right side, left side, occasionally moved him inside on some blitz situations. But whatever it may be, it's clear the coaching staff is saying the heck with it. This guy is our future. Yes, he is not dominant in run support at this time, but we're going to do everything we can to help develop this guy, get him to his max potential, and they foresee him as the starter on one of the backer spots for the foreseeable future. Houston has arrived. There is no problem like the problem in all the NFL, and I'm sure everybody watching this is aware he set an NFL record yesterday, having, 8 sacks and 77 snaps throughout his NFL career. That's just an insane return on investment. But while Houston has set some records there, we've had other Lions rookies set records this year. We're going to start off by talking about Aiden Hutchinson. No NFL lineman has picked off 3 passes in a season since they've kept that matrix back in 1981. And with that being said, is he potentially the Rookie of the Year? Boy, I think if he has any kind of performance next week in Green Bay, it's going to be hard to really wrestle it away from him. The fact that he's leading all rookies in interceptions while second in sacks, he's up there on fumble recoveries. I'd have to even check to see if he's leading the NFL rookies in fumble recoveries, plus what he's doing in run support, plus what he's doing with pressures and hits on quarterbacks. I get he's not, up there with Houston in sacks, but he is also helping out a lot of his teammates get sacks by getting initial pressure, forcing quarterbacks like Justin Fields yesterday up into the pocket and letting a teammate clean him up. So the Lions clearly have two guys they're going to build around in the future, and we haven't even got to everybody yet. So with that being said about Paschal, that did develop a Lions record for rookies getting sacks in the season. Between the three that I've already mentioned with Paschal, Aiden Hutchinson, and then James Houston, no rookie class has produced more sacks, and especially from three-man front like these guys. Houston, I think, has a ton more upside as he gets more reps. Not that the other guys don't, but you can see where Hutchinson has steadily improved. And, let's be fair, he's no longer a rookie. Paschal and Houston, just because their lack of snaps and playing time early in the year, they're still figuring their way out with things, I think. So both of them are going to have a lot more upside. I'm sure Hutchinson could be a potential 10 to maybe 12 sack a year type guy. And with the more that these three guys can bounce off each other, I think they're all going to be beneficiaries long term of putting up huge numbers for the foreseeable future, because you can't just defend one of them. You're going to have to get off after all three. It'll be interesting to see what Brad Holmes and the coaching staff does during free agency and then the draft to help firm up that defense even more. Okay, while we continue to talk about records for the Lions and rookies, we got to talk about Joshua Paschal. He did come out with a bang against the Cowboys in his NFL season debut. Then he had a couple games where he was less than stellar. And some of that, I'm sure you guys know if you've been watching Lions Talk Live, was because of a knee injury. He had to miss a few games. But you can see last week, he started looking more and more like himself. He did get beat a couple times on some pulls that went out wide against Carolina, but not so much yesterday. Like Hutchinson and Houston, you can see these younger guys are developing. They're not over pursuing. They are staying in their lanes. They're doing more and more growth. And yesterday, Paschal not only got the Lions pass rush started with a sack, but then he got a second sack in all of his career so far by getting held and still getting to Justin Fields. So Paschal, Hutchinson seem to fit a bit of a mold for defensive ends that Brad Holmes wants. He wants somebody that have long wingspans, huge upper body strength, and a little bit of flexibility in their hips. These guys can turn directions like a linebacker. They might not always have the speed, but they have a lot of things that cause problems for offensive linemen in different situations. A year ago, the knock on Goff was his price tag at $30 million, and you're not really getting production out of him. Who's going to pay him $30 million? But with the trend in quarterback pay last season, what will happen this offseason? $30 million is actually starting to look fairly cheap. Will they be able to keep him long term? I mean, I would say this. He's had a great year. Let's perhaps see what he does next year. We do have still time on his contract. What will the Lions do in the draft? Well, I don't really want to get into that yet. Let's focus on the season first, and then we'll get into some draft talk, free agency talk. But I'll say this. There's no reason to think the Lions are in a hurry to move on from him. Going on from Goff, now let's talk about the running backs. Both of them played very, very well yesterday. Swift, like we talked about in our preview video, would probably get more touches out of the backfield. It seems to me, since his return from injury in the early portion of the season, the Lions have tried to run him less in between the guards and more out wide while scheming him into the passing game. I think they're just trying to do everything they can to keep him healthy. But the other part is Jamal Williams is more of that hammer back. The trick is going to be for the Lions coaching staff, if they should maintain these guys throughout this year and the next year, is they're going to have to make it not so obvious what their intentions are, because other teams are going to figure that out in this offseason, how to scheme for these situations. Jamal Williams, I'm sure as you were all watching the game yesterday, is one touchdown away from tying Barry Sanders' rushing touchdown mark for the franchise set in 1991. Yes, he did it in less games than what Williams is going to face, but it is what it is. Will he get it? I think we'll probably need him to get it in order to maintain with the Packers and pull off a win, potentially putting us in the playoffs. Swift, I do love the way they're using him more and more. And I'll say this again, that run on 3rd and 18 that he pulled off where he did the spin move and got us the first down, that was a backbreaker for the Chicago Bears. In my opinion, their defense never recovered yesterday, and that basically put them to sleep. So those players are all doing well. Now, Jameson Williams, imagine this. Your stat line and average for the season is this. Every time you catch the ball, it's 40-plus yards. Every time you rush the ball, it's 40-plus yards. He's got one catch for 45. He's got one rush for 43. So the guy's putting up some averages. I think he's getting a little bit more confidence back in his knee. He's getting a little bit more familiar with the offense. You can see them try to set him up for a screen and a couple of quick slants, one in post. So he is developing. It's just unlike other rookie positions that you've seen so many of our rookies step up and get meaningful minutes or start quickly. The Lions receiving core is actually pretty deep, and he's having to earn his reps. You know, one thing I'll say before we get out of here, we talk about the offense. We talk about why we all want Jameson Williams to get more reps. Here's what I'll say. You can see the impact a lot of reps makes for Goff and any of the receiving core. You've seen what DJ Shark has been able to do now for, what do you want to say, 5-6 games now? Some of the deep routes, in routes, things of this sort. The way they're able to read each other going up the receiver tree from the A route, B route, C route, etc. It's a timing game. And Shark and Goff clearly have gelled in this regard. Same as St. Brown and Goff last year. You're seeing this wide receiver core do a lot of damage to multiple different defenses, and you're seeing them develop more and more. That's why I really hope we make the postseason. I think we can make a run. With that being said, with Jameson Williams, it's just I think he needs more time to get into that rhythm with Goff and learn how to use his route tree on different pass plays and routes. With that being said, I do think in time you're going to see this kid be an absolute stud. Is that time going to be in Green Bay or next year? We'll wait and see, but you are seeing him chip away at things. So real quick, let's talk about the postseason. All right, here's how it all lays out. If the Green Bay Packers win against us, they're in. Nothing anybody can do to stop them. If Seattle wins, we are out. So what we need to get in is one of the 3 teams still remaining in the NFC to potentially get into the postseason. We need to beat the Packers. That's what we can control right off the bat. If we get that, worst case scenario, even if we don't make the postseason, we've got a winning record, but we don't get in. We need Seattle to lose to, of all teams, the Rams. If the Rams fall, well, we don't get in, but we get a better draft pick. So there's definitely a lot of reasons to watch this weekend. There's a lot of reasons why the NFL may move the schedule around, as I'm sure you all know. But, easy scenario, we need the Rams to beat Seattle, and then we need to handle our own business by beating Green Bay in Green Bay. No small feats, but achievable feats for sure. All right, well, I'm going to wrap up today's video. I've kept you all long enough. I'm sure if you're like all other Detroit Lions fans, you're enjoying this Celebration Monday, Victory Monday, whatever you want to call it. We're all going to be dialed in to see what the NFL does with the schedule, either today or tomorrow. We're all going to be getting ready for our big parties and, rooting on the Lions on Sunday. So, again, I hope you all enjoy your Monday. If you've got the day off, it's probably your last day off from the holidays. So kick back, relax, do whatever you're going to do, and get ready for the work week ahead. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so and leave a comment down below while leaving a thumbs up. Take care, enjoy your day, and we'll see you all tomorrow on Tuesday's Lions Talk Live.